Captain Mike Torres had been a firefighter for 20 years. That night, while rescuing 8 children from a 5-story apartment fire, he froze when he heard a scream coming from the flames. It was the same scream he had heard 25 years ago, when he was 7 years old. That night, watching his own house burn, he couldn't save his little brother trapped inside. Welcome to Human Stories. Before we begin this powerful story, tell us in the comments what city you're watching from today. And if you believe real heroes' stories deserve to be told, hit that subscribe button. These stories matter. It was 7 p.m. at Boston Fire Department Station 42. Captain Mike Torres was checking the fire truck when young firefighters gathered around him. Mike was 47 years old, athletic, an experienced firefighter. In his 20-year career, he had managed countless fires and rescue operations. "Captain," said young firefighter Rodriguez, "how many rescues did we make this week?" Mike answered while checking his equipment. "I don't keep count, Rodriguez." What matters is being ready for every call. But Mike actually was counting. Every person he saved, every breath he took, every life he brought out. In the last 20 years, he had rescued 247 people, and he remembered every single one. Mike's colleagues wondered why he always volunteered for the most dangerous operations, why he was always the first to run in, the last to come out. But for Mike to explain this, he would need to go back 25 years. Summer 1998, San Antonio, Texas. 7-year-old Mike Torres was playing at home with his little brother Tommy. Tommy was 5 years old, Mike's closest friend. Their mother, Maria Torres, had gone to the store. "Mike, keep an eye on your brother," she had said. "I'll be back in an hour." Mike and Tommy were playing with toy cars in the living room. Since Mike was older, he felt responsible. "Mike, I want the big car too," said Tommy. "This is my car," Mike replied. "You take the small one." Tommy started crying. Mike got angry and sent Tommy to his room. "Go play in your room, don't bother me." Tommy went to his room crying. Mike continued playing alone in the living room. An hour later, he remembered that he had left the electric heater on. At 3 p.m., while Mike was dozing in the living room, he smelled smoke. But with a child's mind, he couldn't understand what it was. Soon, the smoke became visible. Mike jumped up in panic. The curtain next to the electric heater was on fire. The flames were growing rapidly. "Tommy!" he shouted. "Tommy, get out!" But there was no sound from Tommy. Mike ran to the hallway. Tommy's room door was closed. Mike tried to open the door, but couldn't because of the heat. "Tommy! Tommy, open it!" He could hear crying from inside, but Tommy couldn't open the door. Mike didn't know what to do. The fire was spreading through the house. He couldn't breathe. In panic, he ran outside through the front door. Mike was standing in the front yard, crying. Neighbors had started coming. Someone had called the fire department. "Child, are you okay?" asked neighbor Mrs. Gonzalez. "Tommy's inside," Mike screamed. "Tommy can't get out." Neighbors tried to enter the house, but the flames had grown too big. No one could go in. Fire sirens were heard. Mike's heart was beating very fast. He kept crying, "Tommy, Tommy!" When the firefighters arrived, the house was completely engulfed in flames. "There's a child inside!" the neighbors shouted. The firefighters immediately sprang into action, but it was too late. The house was about to collapse. When the firefighters found Tommy, it was too late. The little child had suffocated from smoke in his room and lost his life. Mike was sitting in the ambulance, waiting for his mother, Maria. Maria came running from the hospital. "Mike! My son, are you okay? Where's Tommy?" Mike couldn't answer. He just cried. The doctor pulled Maria aside and explained. Tommy had lost his life. Maria's screams echoed through the hospital corridors. Mike never forgot that scream. That night, Mike made a promise to himself. "I will never let anyone experience something like this again." For 25 years, Mike remembered that day and blamed himself. If he hadn't fought with Tommy, if he hadn't sent him to his room, if he had remembered to turn off the electric heater. In high school, the counselor had told him, "Mike, you were a 7-year-old child. This wasn't your fault." But Mike never forgave himself. At 18, he enrolled in the fire academy. "For Tommy," he told himself. He was the hardest worker at the academy. He got the best grades. The instructors held him up as an example. When he graduated, he was assigned to the Boston Fire Department. His first assignment was at Station 42. For 20 years, Mike was an excellent firefighter. But his friends noticed he was a bit different. Mike never took risks. He planned every operation perfectly. He never missed any detail. And most importantly, he never left anyone behind. "Torres, you're too meticulous," Chief Patterson would say. "Sometimes you need to take risks." "No, Chief," Mike would reply. "We can't take risks. Every life matters." When people Mike rescued thanked him, he always said the same thing. "I'm just doing my job." But in reality, Mike was saying, "I'm sorry" to Tommy with every rescue. October 15th, 2023, 9:30 p.m. A call came to Station 42, 5-story apartment fire, 1247 Maple Street. Children inside. Mike's hair stood on end. Children. The team immediately sprang into action. Mike sat in front of the truck, going over plans in his mind. How many children? He asked over the radio. 8 to 10, trapped on the 3rd and 4th floors. Mike's breath shortened. 8 to 10 children. This would be the biggest rescue of his career. When they arrived at the apartment, the situation was dire. Flames were coming from the 3rd and 4th floors. The lower floors were filled with smoke. A crowd had gathered. Mothers were crying, shouting, "My children are inside!" Mike assessed the situation. The stairs were usable but risky. The elevator shaft was too dangerous. Rodriguez, you're coming with me. Martinez, set up the external ladder. Johnson, check water pressure. While Mike was giving orders to his team, he heard Tommy's voice in his head. Mike, will you save me? Mike and Rodriguez entered the building from the 1st floor. The smoke was very thick. Visibility was 2 meters. Torres, it's too dangerous, said Rodriguez. Let's wait. No, Mike was determined. Children are dying. Mike started climbing the stairs. With each step, he remembered Tommy. When they reached the 2nd floor, they heard the first child's voice. A little girl was crying. Come here, Mike shouted. A 6-year-old girl was sitting in the hallway. Mike took her in his arms. I'll get you out, he said. Don't be afraid. He handed the girl to Rodriguez. Find the others, he said. When he reached the 3rd floor, Mike found 3 more children. 2 boys, 1 girl, ages 8 to 12. I'm a firefighter, he shouted. Follow me. The children were very scared. The oldest, a 12-year-old child, had taken responsibility. I'll manage the little ones, he told Mike. Mike saw himself in this child. 25 years ago, he too had tried to take responsibility like this. You're an amazing kid, Mike said. But trust me now. He got the 4 children to the safe area. The situation on the 4th floor was worse. Flames had surrounded the corridor. Mike asked for information over the radio. How many children are left? 4. They're trapped in apartment 4C. Mike moved toward 4C. The door was locked. Flames surrounded the door. When he broke down the door, he saw 4 children inside. The youngest was 5 years old. When Mike saw the 5-year-old child, he froze. He was the same age as Tommy. As Mike tried to take the children in his arms, the 5-year-old child started screaming. That scream, it was the same as Tommy's last scream. Mike disconnected from the world for a moment. He was living that night from 25 years ago. Tommy, he shouted involuntarily. The child got more scared. I'm not Tommy. I'm Alex. Mike pulled himself together. I'm sorry, Alex. I'll get you out. But this time, he wouldn't leave anyone behind. Mike couldn't carry all 4 children at once. He would have to take them out in 2 trips. First, he took the 2 older children. I'll come back, he told the little ones. Alex and the other small child were crying. Don't leave us. Mike's heart was breaking, just like Tommy. After getting the first 2 children out, he immediately went back. The flames had grown even bigger. When Mike went back into the building for the last 2 children, cracks had formed in the ceiling. The building was starting to collapse. Torres! Chief Patterson shouted over the radio. Get out of there! The building's going to collapse. 2 more children. Too dangerous. Mike turned off the radio. What he couldn't do for Tommy, he would do for these children. When he found Alex, the child had fainted. The other child was also affected by the smoke. Mike took both in his arms. They weighed 70 kilos. As he went down the stairs, the ceiling began to collapse. When Mike took his last steps out of the building, the ceiling collapsed behind him. He handed Alex and the other child to the ambulance. Both were alive. Mike collapsed to the ground. He couldn't breathe, but this time he was happy. He had saved all 8 children. He hadn't left any behind. Mike was sitting in the ambulance, wearing an oxygen mask. That's when he experienced something strange. A 5-year-old child was standing across from him. It was Tommy. Mike, thank you, said Tommy. Tommy, I'm so sorry I couldn't save you. But today you saved 8 children. You saved me too. Mike started crying. I missed you so much. I was always with you, Mike. And every child you saved. Tommy slowly disappeared. The next day, Mike was in the hospital. All 8 children were alive. Their families had come to thank Mike. Alex's mother held Mike's hand. You saved my son? I don't know how to thank you. Mike smiled. I was just doing my job. Alex came to Mike. Firefighter uncle, you're my hero. Mike took Alex in his arms. He smelled just like Tommy. You were my hero too, Alex. That night, Mike called his mother, Maria. For the first time in 25 years, they would talk about Tommy. Mom, I'm sorry I couldn't save Tommy. Maria was crying. Mike, you were a 7-year-old child. Tommy's death wasn't your fault. But I was the big brother. I should have protected him. You've protected hundreds of people for 20 years. Tommy is proud of you. For the first time in 25 years, Mike felt relieved. Mike Torres is now 48 years old. He still works at Station 42, but now he's different. He used to rescue only out of guilt. Now he rescues with love. He trains young firefighters. Every life matters, he says. But don't blame yourselves. Making mistakes is human. Rodriguez asks him, Captain, why are you so good? Mike smiles. Because I once felt very bad. Now I want to feel good. Mike now has Tommy's photograph on his desk. 5 years old, a smiling little child. Before every shift, he looks at the photograph. Tommy, I'll protect people today too, for you, and after every rescue operation. Tommy, I didn't leave anyone behind today either. A year later, Alex visited the station with his family. He was now 6 years old. Firefighter uncle, I missed you so much. Mike took Alex in his arms. I missed you too, Alex. When I grow up, I'll be a firefighter, like you. Mike smiled proudly. You'll be an amazing firefighter. Alex gave Mike a drawing. In the picture were 2 figures, 1 big firefighter, 1 small child. This is you and me, said Alex. Mike hung the picture on the wall, next to Tommy's photograph. Mike Torres is 49 years old today. He still works at the Boston Fire Department. In his career, he has rescued 312 people, but most importantly, he forgave himself. The guilt he carried for 25 years has now become a sense of purpose. Tommy's memory strengthens him. doesn't weaken him. Mike's story teaches us this: our past mistakes don't have to define us. We can learn from them and shape the future. Childhood traumas can be heavy burdens, but when properly channeled, they can also be our greatest source of strength. Mike Torres couldn't save his little brother, but because of his memory, he saved hundreds of lives. Sometimes the greatest heroes are those who have experienced the greatest pain because they know what pain means and don't want anyone else to experience the same pain. If this story touched you, share your thoughts in the comment. And remember, real heroes come without capes, wearing firefighter uniforms. Subscribe to Human Stories to ensure stories like this continue to be told, because every hero has a story, and every story has sides worth telling. Until the next story, if you know someone like Mike in your life, someone who carries the weight of the past, to make today better, show them respect, because the greatest heroes are usually the quietest ones.